Life is full of work and stress. Parenting can be a mess. Being a woman is hard enough without adding on that extra stuff. We'll cover topics of every kind. Helpful resources we will find. We'll even drink a bottle of wine. Join us. It will be a real good time. Hi, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Nikki.
And welcome to Working Mom's Whine, where we drink a bottle of wine
and whine about life while trying to pull together some resources that might help both us and you.
That's right. But today, we're having mimosas.
No wine today.
That's right.
It's champagne living.
We're doing a little brunch today. We got together earlier in the day than usual, so we thought, why not? We have some cinnamon rolls and an oatmeal bar, and coffee cake is in the oven, but didn't get as far as I planned on getting with the brunch foods today. But that's okay.
That's how mom life is.
That's right.
You get up, you start getting cracking at stuff, and you get interrupted a bajillion times.
So you're not wrong. So today we are going to wrap up Financial February with our last week. And this week is all about investing into your children's future.
Yes.
So we've both done research on our own. It's going to be funny to see how many similar things we have to talk about today. But we want to be able to set our kids off on the right foot. Some people, their parents were able to do that for them. Other people, their parents were not able to do that for them. So we want to help as many people as possible get to the point where they can do that.
That's right. It's important when you're considering, financial wellness that we teach our kids. And that we, if you really want to grow generational wealth, you have to start planning for them when they are too young to know what to do themselves.
Correct.
Well, there's a few different custodial accounts you can do. There's the 529, which is a tax advantage savings account to be used exclusively for educational purposes. And then and something I learned along the way is that only includes certain institutions. So they have to meet certain requirements in order for you to use the money there. So that's good to know. It does apply to trade schools too. It's tax advantaged. It can transfer to another person. So if for any reason, maybe something, God forbid, happened to your kid, you could transfer it to another kid, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, that's the situation they presented on the video I watched. I wonder if that's true no matter, like maybe your kid decides they don't want to go to college and you can transfer it to another kid. I wonder if that's another situation you can do. I don't know for sure, though, so don't take my word for it. And then you can open as many accounts for 529 as you have children. So the other kind of account I heard about was the UTMA, UGMA accounts, which are custodial brokerage accounts named after the Uniform Gifts to Minors Act or the Uniform Transfers to Minors Act.
I also have notes on that one.
Oh, good.
A lot of the similar ones.
Funds can be used for anything, not just education, which I love. They're available to the beneficiary once they turn 18. In some states, it's 21. They can't be switched to another person, and they are not tax advantaged. So those are kind of like your main options if you want to open something for your children to start growing money in. But another piece of advice I come across a lot is how much, compound interest can really be great, be amazing. Mm-hmm. And if you start as soon as you're an adult, like 18, 19, 20, then you're in good, amazing, great, incredible shape. So another thing to consider is remembering that you can also put money in in one of these. You can put money in a high yield savings account and then open them a Roth IRA or whatever when they're older, when they're of age to do that kind of thing.
Backing up to the 529, I looked up what you can do if they don't go to college.
Okay.
And yes, if there's other alternative schooling that they're looking at, that's fine. But if they're like, nope, not going to school at all, you can take it out as cash, but you are taxed on it, and then you have to pay a 10% penalty on it on top of that. I know.
Rude.
However, you can switch beneficiaries, or if they are going to college and got a scholarship, they will waive the fee for cashing it out. So like they don't need it for college because of all their scholarships. They're going to reward you by not charging you that fee.
Interesting.
Something else you can do.
It's kind of nice.
Yeah, the 529 works two ways. You can put money into it to invest, which is the recommended thing to do, or you can buy college credits at today's prices and save those credits for the future.
That's interesting. I didn't hear it.
According to Forbes. But
I did hear that there were changes this year where you could invest the money.
Mhm.
And so before, a lot of investors, money-wise people, were kind of like, well, you know, if you know that your kid is going to want to go to college, that's one thing, but you might put all your money in this 529 and not be able to do much with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, we're kind of headed in that direction as a society where we're noticing that maybe college isn't as required as we thought for every job. So you don't know what that's going to look like. Yeah, you don't know what it'll look like in 20 years. So, you know, they would say, I would open this other kind of account instead. But now that you can actually like invest the money like it's kind of like an HSA where you can invest the money. That a lot of them are switching to that.
The main benefit to going to college these days is sometimes when you want to move into management, they want you to have a bachelor's degree of some kind.
Yeah.
You can get hired anywhere, but when you want to move up the ladder, that's when college can become important. And it might not necessarily matter what your degree is in. Business management can certainly help, but for instance, I have one more related to IT, but they just saw, business systems development. Okay, let's go, you know? So that could be a part where it helps, but lowering costs through scholarships, community college, 529s, all of that can help them achieve that with less costs if that's the path they want to take.
Mm-hmm.
The custodial Roth is good for kids who are working a part-time job and you want to help them set some of their money back. So you put a portion of what they're earning from their part-time job into the custodial Roth and they take it over when they're 18.
Yes, I did forget about that one because I kind of breezed by it when I heard they have to earn the money, like they have to have a job. Well, my kid is 6. She's not going to be near that.
This will be for
soon.
Older kids.
Right? So I just kind of went, bloop.
Some of them might have older kids, though.
You're right. My apologies.
And then the alternate, the UGMA, UTMA custodial accounts, those have a little more flexibility than a 529. So if you're still wanting to save back for college or to help them have a future Roth, things like that, you can use these. And then the child will take over anywhere from age 18 to 25. I don't know if you set that age or if it's dependent on the type of trust.
I think my research said 18 to 21, depending on what state you're in.
Oh, maybe it's a state thing.
Because in Missouri, it's 21.
Okay.
But then there were other things they said you could do if you don't want them to have access to the money at 18, if that's your state's laws, like there are other options.
Sometimes you look at an 18-year-old and you're like, I don't know, though.
I don't want to give you 20 grand that I've saved up or whatever it is.
Yeah. Also with the 529s, if you put in anything more than $15,000 a year, it is considered subject to gift tax. So definitely be careful about that. There was another type of 529-ish plan, but I did not even make notes about it because you can only put in $2,000 a year per person. And then if you make enough income, it's even less. So I was kind of like, I don't know, might as well go with the 529 at that point. But there was some advantage to it, but it's like you're barely putting any money in there.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the exemption from the gift tax or something, but you can go up to $15,000 in each account. So say you have 3 kids and you open 3 529s. I don't necessarily have $45,000 to throw at that every year.
You know?
But if you do, you can do the 15 in each account before you're going to have to start worrying about the gift tax.
Yeah.
And there are also brokerages that often have special investing accounts for teenagers. Mm-hmm. So if you want to start your kid on some investing, growing that compound interest, I didn't get any specific names. I think Robinhood has one.
I know Fidelity does.
Yeah. Just be careful with Robinhood. They kind of,
when
A
all
little
the
shady.
when all the GameStop AMC stuff was going on, they did have a legitimate sounding reason for not letting people cash things out, but just the fact that you couldn't cash things out when you wanted to kind of gave them a bad rap. So just be careful if you use Robinhood.
Oh, okay. I found my note on that. If you don't want to give up control at 18, you can open a trust instead and pick the age that it transfers. So you open a trust and you say this will transfer to them when they're 25 or whatever it is you want it to be.
Yeah, I like that.
And the UTMA, you can gift up, you said that, up to $15,000 single or $30,000 married without extra taxes.
I said that on the 529, which I don't know if it's different for marriage, but it's good to know that if you're a couple on the UTMA, you can double that.
Yeah.
That's kind of how at work I have an HSA. I was doing one of those insurance plans where you pay more out of your paycheck.
Oh.
No, the opposite. Low deductible. And then I had a year where I consulted with somebody that they brought in. And she showed me that between my high deductible and low deductible plans over the last year, I would have spent the same amount. And that was the year that I had like a surgery and there were a couple other big things that happened that I had to pay for. Maybe it was with the kids. But we had a lot of medical expenses. It would have been the same either way. And HSAs have a lot of benefits over FSAs. So with the HSA, the employer is allowed to contribute into it. And so with the IRS, I think you're allowed to do $1,500 a year if it's a family plan and $750 if it's an individual, somewhere around $750. So, and Brandon and I have separate plans because it makes more sense financially to do it that way. So he gets the max contribution from our employer, and so do I. So that's very nice. And then it carries over every year as well. So I know that's a little side topic, but if you're currently on a plan with an FSA and you have some available with HSAs, you might want to compare costs, see if it really is saving you money to do the lower deductible plan, because if not, the HSAs just carry over and over and over, and eventually they go into your Medicare or Medicaid or whichever one it is that you get when you get older. So
you guys know a lot of my research comes from the Financial Feminist book and her first 100K company. And she has a podcast. And I was listening to it the other day, and right after we had decided to make this episode about building wealth with your children, up pops a new episode from her, and it's an episode with Andy Hill, How to Make Your Kids Millionaires.
How convenient.
He actually has a course that kind of walks you through all these options and will help you decide kind of what's the best fit for your kid and your family. But he recommends the first 2 steps is to put money in their hands as soon as possible because mistakes are better than lectures. And to talk openly about money, even if you're not an expert. So while you're learning these things and doing these changes with your own finances, talk about that out loud in front of them. Let them sit at the table with you while you're budgeting. Let them hear those conversations and watch you doing that work and putting in that effort. And then help them by putting money in their hands, whether that's like an allowance or birthday gifts or whatever it is. And then letting them spend it and save it the way that they want with a little guidance, but allowing them to make those mistakes, spend on something that they find out later is cheap and doesn't last long or whatever, because our instinct as parents a lot of times is to jump in and say and educate and say, oh, you don't want to do that because A, B, C, D, E. But letting them make the mistake themselves is beneficial to them in the long run.
I also had that in my notes, not from them, but I was just thinking in general, this is something that we have heard before from other sources and something that I had been trying to get the kids into, and it is something that we've slipped out of, but I was thinking maybe this would be the motivation to get back into it. But letting them sit in on the monthly budget meeting and seeing, yes, this income comes in, but look at all this income that goes out. And when they receive money, teaching them to separate it out.
Pay yourself first.
Exactly. Give yourself. So if you're a household that goes to church and does tithing, they recommend 80, 10, 10. So 80 of it you keep, 10 goes into savings, 10 goes to the church. And then obviously if that's not your lifestyle, you could do like an 80 you keep, 20 goes into savings, or you could decide that you're just going to change the ratios and do 90, 10. But that way, when they get their allowance in, you can be like, all right, here is your portion and here is the rest of it. And I'm going to explain to you what we're going to do with it and why. And as far as college, we kind of touched on this a little bit, but helping them explore different scholarship opportunities is really great. I will make sure that we get, if we don't have it already, a link to a book I've been reading called Debt-Free Degree. And it's from a guy who works under Dave Ramsey. But I know you don't like him.
It doesn't mean all the information is bad.
Exactly. And it's very helpful because they section it out into parts. There's like a little introduction where they're talking about different stories of people who have struggled to get into college or made different decisions for their kids or whatever. And then it moves into different stages of life where you can start prepping, what to do in middle school, what to do in high school, things like that. And it's just really good advice when you're trying to explore different avenues on where you're going to find your scholarships, or if you're a family where one of your kids has expressed interest into going into the military, there's options there as well. But there's a lot of different ways where you can save on college. I applied for every scholarship under the moon I thought I even remotely qualified for. There's ones where you can write essays. There's ones where you can get it based on community service. Lucas is in the Junior Honor Society at middle school. And what they do is you have to have a certain grade average, obviously, to join. And then they have different opportunities throughout the year to volunteer. So the guy who leads that place will be like, okay, we're going to meet once a month. We're going to talk about these different opportunities. He sends it out to the parents. Thank goodness, because Lucas would never, ever pass this information on to me. And then I get to sign him up. And it can be small things like the school had they had their Scholastic Book Fair, and they do it at night. And there's like a concert by the third graders, and Santa comes, and there's hot cocoa and all that good stuff. And all he did was, during that entire thing, hand out cookies and hot chocolate. And there was opportunities to volunteer at the concession stand for the high school basketball team. There were also more community-driven opportunities. And I was like, can I just drop him off? Am I required to stay if I let him do that one? But there's also community-involved ones. Anytime your kid expresses interest in an extracurricular, that's good too, because that can give them opportunities. Like Lucas is in a math club. But math is something he's good at, and they had a competition this last weekend, which unfortunately conflicted with something else for us, so he didn't go to that one. But the point is, they have these opportunities for them to go and explore things and things like that. So anything like that will look good on a college resume will also help you get any specific scholarships related to the actual college. Like when I went, I chose to go to a religious college. My dad was a pastor. That helped. I initially thought I was going to go into music ministry. That also helped. And then even when they're in college, you can do work study. We could do like a whole other episode on college probably.
I mean, it fits in this one.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot of opportunities out there. There's athletic scholarships, ACT score related scholarships. Grants and Pell Grants and all these things. So it's just good to do that homework ahead of time, kind of know what's out there, know what's, maybe specific to your school district even, or state. I know there was a program out here for a while at one of the local high schools where if you did things their way and you got like straight A's, you could go into college with so many credits already.
I think what it is your normal high school classes, specific ones, could double as college credit.
That might be,
but obviously you have to maintain a specific GPA and all of that to do that. So.
Yeah. Or if you're homeschooling, a lot of times you can go to community college early. So like
I wish I had
3 years of high school, you can take courses at the local community college and start, by the time you graduate high school, you could have almost all of your associates.
Yeah. I think I took maybe 1 or 2 my senior year, because I remember going up to the community college, but
I took 1, but it was at the university I was planning to go to, and it was because I was terrified to go to school.
Yeah.
And Mom was like, why don't you take one course so you can
Right.
get used to the campus and
Get
meet
your
some
foot
people
in the water.
and stop being such a chicken.
So definitely check out the 529, the custodial Roth, the UGMA or UTMA.
Mm-hmm.
See which one you feel like is best for you and your family's situation. Don't be afraid to check with a financial advisor. I know we get access to ones through work, so you might also get free access to one through work.
Yeah,
that
if you
can
have a
help
401k at work, a lot of times that company that manages it will consult with you.
Yeah. That's very helpful.
Yeah, very helpful.
I don't understand any of that.
And all the experts I have listened to recently always preface the conversations about building wealth for your kids with, get yourself straight first.
Yes.
Don't start putting money into a savings account for a kid when you are still drowning in debt and don't have retirement for yourself, because then they're going to grow up and have to use that money to take care of you when you can't take care of yourself. So take care of yourself first, just like on the airplane. Put the oxygen mask on yourself, then deal with the brats next to you.
That comes in so handy in so many illustrations.
It really does.
Put your own oxygen mask on first, or everyone's going to die.
That's right. If you can't breathe, we're all going down.
That's right. Especially the mamas.
That's right.
I know we mentioned SoFi in an earlier financial February when we were going through all of the different apps we liked and rewards programs and all of that. So I went in there the other day to take a look at a couple of things, and they are doing a special thing where if you direct deposit into your account, then you get a higher yield than they usually offer. So I went ahead and took advantage of that, and that does currently mean that we are bouncing between two banks when paying bills throughout the month. So I was trying to make sure I was doing everything right and keeping all the numbers straight. And I noticed they had a section underneath on the homepage where they have recommended investments, or they have like stocks that they're tracking, whether they're going up or going down. And I thought that might also be a good way to, okay, I've already got my money in SoFi. I can track a couple of stocks for a while, see which ones I like, and put a little bit of money in there. And then you can take that money and transfer it into your kids' savings accounts.
Yeah. And once you have SoFi set up for the high yield savings account and checking account, they start sending you offers in the mail too for things like investing accounts. They even do small personal loans, things like that. Not that we encourage that idea. Stay far away if you can.
Yeah, I don't encourage.
But sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
Well, and I don't encourage that idea in general, but this could be another good financial topic to kind of touch on today. If you are in a situation where you're already drowning in debt, or not, maybe not even drowning, but you've got some debt and it's high interest debt, maybe look at a consolidation loan. You do have to be careful on how it's going to affect your credit or the terms of the new loan you're about to enter. But some of the ones through SoFi right now are only at a little under 11% interest. And if you've got a 30% interest credit card, might be worth it. I do have one account. Yeah, I have one account where every month it grows instead of shrinks if I make the minimum payment because of the interest rate on it. So I have to always make sure that I'm paying extra into that one.
Yes. And anytime you do anything like a personal loan or a credit card balance transfer, you have to read all the fine print. I just learned this the other day that there are some of those where they'll put into the fine print that if you don't pay it off before the interest starts accruing, you then have to pay all the interest you would have had to pay anyway.
I had that happen to me twice because I did not read that fine print. And all of a sudden, one of them had like $300 extra on it. And the other one, which we were literally $50 or $100 away from paying, went up to $600, I think. God. Yeah, I was upset.
I did a credit card balance transfer this year to avoid some high interest, and I don't remember if that was anywhere in my fine print or not. So now I'm like nervous. I'm thinking, okay, if the time comes and I haven't paid all that off, what is my plan for having the money to knock that out before the date, the due date?
Yep. Definitely be careful with all the terms and agreements. Some places are going to get your permission without you knowing it to check your credit once a quarter. Just be aware of anything like that. Look for annual fees. Look for maintenance fees. I talked to someone who was trying to buy a home. They'd been working on repairing their credit they had paid off a card and they thought they had closed it out, but then they got charged a fee, had no idea about it. Yeah. And they could have caught it a little earlier than they did, but they got mail from this company and they're like, I don't understand why I'm getting mail from this company, and kind of ignored it a little bit. So don't do that. Always check it out. Make sure that everything's fine. But their credit went back down by the time they had figured it out, and now they have to deal with that before they can buy a house. But that's another thing too. I'm not telling you to go out and refinance if you own a house, but I am saying that it might be a good idea, if you feel like the debt is getting a little too crazy, to look into a refinance. Even if you are one of the lucky ones that bought a house during COVID and have a stupid low interest rate, and that interest rate is going to go up a little bit, that might be nothing compared to the interest rates on some of the debts you have. So if you get with a company that you can trust, you can have that conversation with the person who looks over the refinance information for you. They can say, yeah, this would save you this much a month, or this much over the life of the loan, or it might not be worth it in your case because there's nothing really where we can see that have a net tangible benefit for you. But there's a lot of cases where even if your house payment goes up a little bit, the rest of your budget payment is going down so much that it really makes up for it. So that's another thing you can look into too if you're trying to escape that debt cycle a little bit. So maybe some of you also have this, but you probably at least know what it is. Everyone has a hall pass list with their significant other. If there was a usually famous person that was interested in you, fair game.
Yeah, so you happen to run into them somewhere and hit it off, and they're just like this enormously famous person. But normally you'd have to say no because you're in a relationship. This is just like the funny dreaming game of like, well, if I ran into these people, I'd be allowed to do whatever I wanted, and it'd be free pass.
Right.
Even though in reality, it's not really the actual case.
Exactly.
It's just fun to dream.
It's a fun hypothetical. So who is on your list?
I have a lot.
Maybe you should name a couple and then I'll name one. I don't have as many, but I'm picky. And weird.
Something I laughed about with my girlfriends when we went over this a few years ago was that a lot of mine are character specific. So it's like,
that's fair.
It's not just that I would want to have a hall pass for Hugh Jackman. It's that I want a hall pass for him in The Greatest Showman. That character.
That's fair, because one of my hall pass choices is 100% me assuming that he's the person who embodies the characters that he often chooses to play.
Yes.
Maybe both of them, actually. But
so I've got both him and Zac Efron because of the same movie. Love that movie. Of course, Chris Hemsworth for multiple movies, but mainly Thor. Nice. I mean, he's hilarious. He has an accent.
We're going to see a huge difference between your list and mine. I do tend to generally go for guys who are funny. That's the big thing for me. So one of the people on my list is Ryan Reynolds, which I think is probably on a lot of people's lists.
Yep.
Sorry, Blake. But what's funny is...
should be on my list too.
On Brandon's list is Sandra Bullock. So we watched The Proposal. It's a good day for both of us.
There you go. That works really well.
Yeah. But I don't know. He's a great guy in real life. Mm-hmm. At least what he projects onto real life. Super funny. I love everything he's done behind the scenes with all the Deadpool stuff and not behind the scenes. So yeah, just really nice Canadian with a great sense of humor.
He's a good one.
Good looking. Mm-hmm. Who else is on your list?
Oh, Cillian Murphy. Love him. I love how awkward he is in interviews and stuff too. Like, he is not a person who likes being famous or likes being in front of interviewers and stuff.
Kind of like Adam Driver.
Yeah.
I had to look Cillian up.
But he is. I mean, I watched him first in Peaky Blinders, and
okay.
Love him in Peaky Blinders. Other things too, of course, but
yeah, it looks like he was in Oppenheimer.
Yeah, he's the main guy in Oppenheimer.
I'm so behind the times. Have not seen that yet.
I still haven't seen it either, but I have lots of good excuses for it.
Brandon and I watched Ready Player One 2 days ago.
I don't even know what that movie is.
It's a movie. It's a gaming.
I'm out of touch.
It's a gaming-based movie, and it came out a while back, like an embarrassingly amount of time back, and we just watched it.
Kids.
Yep. Who else?
I also have a couple girls on my list. If I swung that way, these are the type that would sway me. Emma Stone, 100%, and then Allie Larder. I haven't seen her in anything in a long time, but she was back in the day. I love this movie about Jesse James with Colin Farrell, and she was his love interest in that movie. And then she was in Heroes, the TV show.
Who was she in Heroes?
I don't remember her character
okay.
name.
Now that I'm looking at her face. Yeah, okay.
But I just think she is spicy.
I am really bad at like hearing a name and not seeing a face, or knowing a song but not knowing the name of the song or who does the song.
I'm
so
the same way.
Yeah, that tracks for me. Well, I only have one other person on my list.
Okay.
And Brandon found out last night.
Oh.
And it's Alan Tudyk.
Oh yeah.
100%. Probably
He's
more
amazing.
than Ryan Reynolds, but we were watching.
More than Ryan Reynolds?
He's just, I don't know. I feel like it would be
Funnier?
more funny, yeah, which is hard to say. Maybe not.
All those special voices.
Yeah. So, have you seen Resident Alien on Netflix?
No.
Okay, so I found this randomly the other night. I was looking around at stuff on Netflix, and they brought it up, and he's like on the cover of the first thing they brought up.
Okay.
But later when I was showing it to Brandon, it showed he's an alien in disguise, and it was just showing his alien face. So I was like, we should try watching this. And he's looking at it, trying to like figure out what kind of show it is. And he's like, I mean, we can. I'm like, it looks really funny, and Alan Tudyk is in it. And he goes, oh, okay. So basically, he's an alien that crash landed on Earth while he was trying to do something else. And now he is masquerading as a small town doctor.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it's so funny. We watched 2 episodes last night.
That sounds terrifying.
What's funny is it does get weirdly terrifying, because even though he's trying to hide what he is and get his mission done and get out of there, and even though it's supposed to be a comedy, there's things that happen where he's like, oh, I have to take care of this. And it becomes quickly obvious that these aliens do not have a favorable opinion of humankind. So there are some parts where you're like, oh man, how dark are they going to let this show get? But it's also like super funny. He drinks whiskey as an alien who's never drank alcohol before. And the next day he's hungover, and he's like, this must not have the same effect on humans, or obviously they would never drink it. So stuff like that. But it's if you haven't seen Resident Alien, go check it out. It's so funny.
Sounds hilarious.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching more of it. All right, we're going to do some icebreaker questions.
Whoop whoop.
Oh my gosh, I got rid of
Get
them.
to know us. Have some fun. Have some giggles.
That's right. So
we've been talking about all the serious financial things, and now we're ready to have some fun.
That's right. It's a good way to wrap it up. I have actually done this. Explain your job like you're explaining it to a classroom full of kindergartners.
Okay. When you go to the doctor and your mommy or daddy pulls out a little card and shows it to the doctor, there's a number on the back of that card. If you call that phone number, you talk to me, and I help you to know which doctor you can go see.
And only me. There's no other people.
That's right. Just me.
That's a pretty good explanation.
I could get more specific and say if you ever see a therapist, but not every kid is going to understand what that means either. So I guess it depends how young a kid you're talking to.
When I talk to Silas about, like, we've had a couple of appointments with counselors and things like that, I call them feelings doctors. I was like, we're going to go see the feelings doctor today. I'd be like you have a counselor at school. So he was familiar with the term because of the school counselor. Yeah. But we have had career day at the kids' school, and I went last year. A couple years ago, it was virtual. So, but last year I went, And boy, let me tell you, when you go and you see the Coast Guard show up with a boat and the cops show up with all of their toys and stuff, it's like, oh, now I'm going to look pretty lame.
I'm boring.
Yeah. But
that's when you start saying things in my career like, I mess with people's minds.
Then they think you have telekinetic powers.
Yeah.
But yeah, all that to say, I'll end up talking anywhere from to a 5th grader who can actually understand what I'm talking about and answer or ask questions, things like that, to kindergartners. So basically, when I'm talking to the younger kids, what I say is I ask them if they have any family or friends who are in the military, and most of them do in one way or the other. And I say, well, when you're in the military for long enough, you can get a special kind of home loan. And so I help people who are or were in the military take a look at that benefit and see how much of a house they can afford to buy. I said it's really hard work, but we also play hard. And then I tell them about the special room in our office where there is Buck Hunter and Pop-A-Shot and Mario Kart. And then they all get really interested. And I say, come work with me and I'll kick your butt at Mario Kart. But that part always gets them. And then they ask a bunch of questions about like the game room instead of the rest of it. But what is one thing you couldn't live without? Mimosas. Just kidding.
One thing I couldn't live without. Thing, not person.
Yeah, we're excluding people. We're going to be shallow on this one. Hard to pick just one.
I guess my car.
Yeah?
Because how else would I get everywhere? I don't know.
I'm going to say one thing I can't live without is vacations.
Yes, that's a good one. That's a good one.
You have to get away. Yeah. And even at the end of the vacation, you're often like, I'm not ready.
PTO. That's something I couldn't live without.
What was your favorite breakfast cereal as a kid, and what is it now?
Oof. As a kid, I really liked Captain Crunch and Fruity Pebbles, that kind of stuff. I don't eat cereal now because it's all full of really awful crap. So I eat other things full of really awful crap instead.
Mine was either Trix or Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I liked Life and Chex, but I feel like those Trix and Cinnamon Toast Crunch were the ones I ate the most. And now my favorite is Special K. I like the one with the clumps of yogurt in it.
Ooh,
yeah,
that sounds yummy.
Yeah, and you're right. Cereal is all full of junk, but with Special K, I feel like I'm at least trying.
Yeah, there are some brands that do better than others for sure, and sometimes cereal's all you have time for. I am lucky in that I get Ari off to school and I come back and I log back into my computer, and then I usually have a few minutes to make something or eat something. Mm-hmm. And so if I make Ari pancakes in the morning, I just make extra for myself. But normally what I eat is Dave's Killer Bagels because they are boosted with a lot of protein. So I feel less bad about all the carb.
Yeah.
It's a better balance. And then I put some sort of healthy fat on top of it. Nice. Sometimes I spread avocado on there. Sometimes it's just regular fat like cream cheese. But
because we're a millennial and we love our avocados.
We sure do. I also do I do my own broccoli sprouts. So I'll put those on top of the cream cheese a lot. That's really healthy for your liver.
That sounds good.
I needs all the help I can get.
I was just thinking about that. Would you rather sit through a Star Wars marathon or a Lord of the Rings marathon?
Star Wars.
Oh, nope, Lord of the Rings. Why Star Wars?
Well, first of all, Disney. But second of all, I can follow the Star Wars movies a lot easier than I can the Lord of the Rings. I never read those books. I'm not good at knowing all the different names of the many different characters and remembering who did what back when and what orders everything's in.
That's
Lord
fair.
of the Rings has a lot of that. Now, Star Wars does too, where if you don't watch them in the right order, if the order they were released is not necessarily the time order. Yeah, so I think just for my brain purposes, I would probably enjoy being able to follow Star Wars better than Lord of the Rings. But also Lord of the Rings has a lot of big battle scenes, like icky looking ones, like, with like creepy looking characters, and I don't really enjoy that as much.
It's not as clean as being shot with a laser or sliced with a laser.
It's true.
I would absolutely pick Lord of the Rings, but I have an unconscious bias towards Star Wars because I grew up really enjoying Star Trek, and back in the day, it was one or the other, and you hated the other side. But I did sit through all of the original Star Wars movies, and I got through either 2 or... So it was either 2.5 or like 1.5, and I was just bored. I was like, I can't keep watching this. This is not holding my attention. But I did grow up loving the Lord of the Rings books, so I knew all the background. I knew what they did and did not put in that was in the books. But I think the real reason you don't like Lord of the Rings... Oh, also, okay, Hall Pass list, Elijah Wood. So there's that. But I think the reason you don't like Lord of the Rings is the giant spider.
Yeah, that's not the best.
I knew that was coming and 100% did not warn her. And when we went to see the first one in the theaters, that was great.
Was not a fan of that in Harry Potter either.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
At least that spider could talk and was kind of nice to Hagrid, so I could cut it a little slack.
But you knew that one was in there
Yeah.
before you went to see the movie.
I did read those books.
Which 2 animals would you have swap sounds?
That's a hard one.
That could be really funny. I'm thinking maybe a donkey and a lion. Could you imagine a lion going, "Eeyaw"?
For some reason, I was thinking of a monkey and an elephant, but
that's also
so
pretty good.
Stupid. I just thought an elephant noise would be funny coming from any animal,
Right.
but an elephant.
That's fair.
But I don't know why a monkey pops in my head as the other option. Maybe a lion and a mouse would be funny.
That would be funny. And topical, since they're in a lot of stories together.
Yeah.
So you know how Oreos comes out with a lot of different flavors?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say they wanted to make the grossest flavor ever. What would you pick?
Well, to me, anything spicy would be really gross. I don't eat spicy food. So if it was hot, I'd be like, nope. Mm-mm. But I don't know. You know, like the Birdie Bots, every flavor beans, maybe some
I was
that are,
thinking
like,
about that.
puke flavored or snot flavored or
Right.
whatever. You know, that would be really gross.
Like maybe they run a line of, we picked the worst Birdie Bots flavors, and
made
here
them
they are.
Oreos.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. What was your first email address?
AngelBabe4999236 at AOL.com.
Mine was Freaky Shadow Chick, CHIC, mind you, at AOL.com because I thought I was a goth baddie.
I thought I was such a goody goody little two shoes. I had to be Angel Babe. And I mean, looking back, I really was. But I had to be Angel Babe. And so they had to put a bunch of numbers on it because, of course, a million people already had that.
Yep.
And at the time, I didn't care. It didn't stop me from doing it.
That's right.
Whereas today, it totally would.
I already know your answer to where you would teleport to if you could.
Disney, every time.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe the different Disneys, like Disney Paris, Disney
That's
Tokyo,
fair. Yeah.
Disneyland, Disney World.
What would your campaign slogan be if you ran for president?
Vote for Nikki, because it's about time we had a woman in charge.
Vote for Amanda, because you know no one else is getting done.
Vote for us. We're moms, and you know we'll get things done.
That's right.
We'll take care of business. And ahead of time. Not put out the fire, but prevent it from happening.
That's right.
Amanda and Nikki for president and vice president 2024. Because we're not 80.
I like it. We'll run with that one. If space travel was available to everyone, would you go, and what details would sway your decision?
I would have to say no. Because the thought of going through the process it takes to get into outer space terrifies me. And I've watched rockets explode. And like all of that sounds very dangerous and unknown to me. Now, if we lived in a time where it was a regular thing, like flying on an airplane, getting into space, and it was a lot less, not all the G-forces you have to go through and all the special body training you'd have to have and all that stuff, maybe.
Yeah.
Because it would be beautiful to see.
Yeah.
But I'm not an adventurous person typically. I don't have that adventurous spirit in me. I like things to be known and planned and expected. So
See, I was going to say yes, but the details were going to be that it had to have been something that's been going on for a while, a more comfortable form of travel, and that it's going to be fast enough that if you decide to go, it's not going to take your entire lifespan to do it.
Yeah. Excellent point.
It's kind of like, and I know this is a much more low stakes scenario, but when they come out with new operating systems and things like that, I will let everyone else buy it first and get all the bugs worked out and all of that. And then eventually I will invest in it when it is more stable.
Exactly.
On that topic, are you more afraid of outer space or the deep sea? I find this to be a very polarizing question.
I don't know. They're both terrifying. I guess I would say that I'm more afraid of the deep sea because it seems like a more realistic possibility.
That's fair.
Like, I'm on Earth and I could wind up in the deep sea and be screwed.
Right.
So
I just feel like, getting a little morbid, it's potentially a more painful way to end up dying.
yes.
Like, I feel like space, and we don't know, but I feel like space is going to be more immediate in terms of you not feeling what's happening to your body. And in the water,
Like the slow pressure build and the...
there's a slow pressure build, the drowning, all of that nonsense. So,
And now we've all thought about it because of the... What was that thing that...
the submarine.
Yeah, the submarine that got lost and we found out imploded or whatever. Yeah. And had a teenager in it. And
yep. Crazy.
So we all spent a lot of time pondering what could have happened, what might have happened, and all the possibilities that could be.
Right, exactly.
And now they're all living rent-free in our brains.
All right, let's do one that's topically relevant. Okay. What is one thing you wished you understood about finances as your own adult self? Like the first time you were out on your own as an adult, what's one thing that you wish you already knew about finances?
I wish I had known about compound interest and...
That's a good one.
Like the 401k versus the Roth IRA.
Yeah.
I knew all about 401k's existence because all my jobs offered them, and I thought that putting on as much money in there as I could was me being prepared and doing a great job. Not knowing that it wasn't and it would never be enough. And that I should have put it in a different account.
I wish I'd known that student loan payments, when they finally kicked in, were going to be between $400 and $600, depending.
Yep. That's a good one.
Maybe there's some that are higher. I don't even know. But
I have two separate ones that can't be, what's the word? Consolidated together. And they're each $400. So I pay $800 a month.
Yeah, I was just thinking that's fair too, because if you have like a married couple, also you have both of those separate student loan payments. So yeah, yikes. Well, this has been Financial February. We're wrapping it up. Thanks for tuning in to learn new things about finances and watch me learn new things about finances.
We're all learning together.
That's right. So we're going to move into Mickey Mouse March next week.
Yes!
Yay! We're going to talk about fun things like vacations and how to make the most out of Disney without super duper stressing yourself out, and what to do when you do get super duper stressed out. So we'll go over a lot of different things over the next month. And then, of course, we have our website, workingmomswine.com, patreon.com/workingmomswine. You can find us on TikTok. I say that every time. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram. I don't have a Facebook up yet. Maybe one of these days.
And YouTube. Yes. Like, subscribe, follow, share.
And comment. Talk with us.
Interact with us.
Yeah,
Give
we'd
us
love
stuff
to
talk about and
comment back. So.
Share. Yeah.
Maybe we'll find some fun surprises for Mickey Mouse March too. Maybe we can do a giveaway or something.
Gift card giveaway, maybe.
That could be fun. Yeah. Better tune in. All right. Well, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.